Hello, this is a flipped assignment where we will be going over 8 problems. A lot of them should look familiar to the test that you took just a few weeks ago. Anything in red you should copy onto your template that you received in class. So let's go over the first question. So in the first question, which of the following expressions is equivalent to the expression d plus d plus d plus d? And so all these variables we learned have the assumed coefficient of 1. So that's 1 plus 1d plus 1d plus 1d. And we can add these coefficients because all of these terms are like terms. They're from the d family, right? If they have the same last name, you can combine them. So we have a total of 4d. If you think of shopping and you have a shopping cart and you put one d variable in the cart and another and another and another, you'll have a total of 4 d variables in your cart, right? So 4d brings us to B as the answer. And let's just explore why the other options are not going to work. 4 plus d are two unlike terms, a constant plus a variable. That doesn't apply. D squared indicates multiplication. We're not multiplying over here. We are adding the d's, not multiplying the d's. And this is another multiplication, d to the 4th power. So that is why B is the best answer. What is the value of f in the formula? F equals 9/5 c plus 32 when c equals 30. So for this problem, some students, we can do WSE. So F equals 9/5 c plus 32. And we are going to plug 30 into c, right? So Fahrenheit temperature equals 9/5 times 30, because whenever you have a variable next to a number, or in this case a fraction, it's assumed to be multiplication. And looking at that, we can cross reduce here to make our lives easier. Not between the 9 and the 1, but definitely between the 30 and the 5. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 36 times. 9 times 6, tops times tops, over bottoms times bottoms. And then don't forget this plus 32. 54 plus 32, this is my evaluation work, gives me an answer of the Fahrenheit temperature is 86 degrees. And that brings us to B as our best answer. 302 degrees is a ridiculous option. 54 would have been our answer if we forgot to add the 32. And 62 isn't quite there, so that is why B is the best answer. So let's move on to number 3. Evaluate if each expression if A equals 2, B equals 4, and C equals 1. So the W part, I'm going to copy my problem. The substitute part, I'm going to substitute 1 for C, 2 times 4. Anytime a number is next to a variable, multiplication is assumed. 2 plus 1. Now for the evaluate part, remember with a fraction bar, we can't just replace that with an old school division sign. You can't just plug this in. That doesn't work. What you need to do is evaluate the top until you have one number, evaluate the bottom until you have one number, and then divide as your last and final step. So I'm going to first focus on the top here. And so I have 1 plus 2 times 4. Following PEMDAS, it's going to be 1 plus 8. Over 2 plus 1. And then 8 plus 1 gives me 9. Over 2 plus 1 gives me 3. And I get a final answer of 3 because that is seen as 9 divided by 3. Let's move on to this one. So the W part is AB squared minus C. The substitute part is 2 times 4 squared minus 1. And the evaluate part, a lot of students thought that first you do the 2 times 4 and then you square that product. No, that exponent is only applied to the 4. So I need to be faithful to PEMDAS and just do the 4 squared first. Then I'll do multiplication. Then I'll do subtraction. And you get 31 as your final answer. All right, the next one, write an expression in simplest form that represents the perimeter of the rectangle shown below. So remember, perimeter is all four sides. It's like as if we're building a fence. And so to kind of visualize this a bit more, I'm going to copy this over here because opposite sides are congruent in a rectangle. And then I need to combine all four sides. So I'm going to start off here as if I'm walking around the whole shape. So I have the 2x plus minus 1 plus, now I need to get this side, 3x plus 2. Now this side again, plus 2x minus 1. And now the bottom side, plus 3x plus 2. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my x's. Plus 2x. Okay. So all of these x's are positive. I had positive 2x, positive 3x, positive 2x, positive 3x. So 2 plus 3 gives me 5, plus 2 gives me 7, plus 3 gives me 10. So I have 10 x's all together. Now I'm going to look at my constants. And I'm just going to box them in so they really stand out so I don't miss any of them. And I'm just going to combine these top two. And I have minus 1 and positive 2. So 2 minus 1 gives me 1. And when I combine these, 2 minus 1 gives me 1 again. So 1 plus 1 gives me a total of positive 2. So when I combine the constants, I get plus 2, making my final answer 10x plus 2. And this is perimeter. Units aren't specified, so you can add the word units, just to make sure we have units on our answer. Use 2 as a factor in the expression with the distributive property that is equivalent to the expression 8x plus 6y. So I need 2 as a factor, and when I see factor, I'm thinking multiplication. And the distributive template sort of looks like this, with one number outside with a parentheses package. And I know that plus sign I can drop. 2 times what is going to give me 8x, because they need to be equivalent. They need to be equal. So 2 times what will give me 8, that'll be 4. And then 2 times 4, I need 8x. So 2 times 4x gives me 8x. 2 times what gives me 6y. Now I can drop the y. So that's not gonna. 2 times what gives me 6 will be 3. 2 times 4x gives me 8x, plus 2 times 3y gives me 6y. It works. In order to encourage recycling in the city, the city is offering 5 cents for every pound of newspaper collected, 25 cents per pound of cans, and 10 cents per pound of glass bottles. Define the 3 variables. So my 3 variables, I'll say let x equal, let y equal, and let z equal. So now I need to think what is going to vary. The variables change. Variables would be a number that would vary. It won't remain consistent. So the city would offer everyone the same amount of money, right? That wouldn't be fair if they gave one person a nickel for every pound of newspaper and another person $1, right? So the amount of money isn't going to change, but the amount of pounds of newspapers that each person brings in for collection will change. Not everyone's going to bring in the same exact number of pounds of newspapers. That will vary. So definitely that's going to be the factor that's going to change. So let x be number of pounds of newspapers. Y is number of pounds of cans. And Z is going to be number of pounds of glass. The money won't change, but the number of pounds will change per person. So now let's start to form an algebraic expression to figure out the total amount earned. So first we're going to figure out 5 cents for every pound. So 5 cents, and we're going to multiply that by the number of pounds, x. Then we're going to add that 25 cents per number of cans. So that's 25 cents. Number of pounds of cans would be Y. And a dime for every pound of glass. Oops, that will be Z. Okay. And that is our algebraic expression. So now, if Chenzo brings in 10 pounds of newspaper, 8 pounds of cans, and 2 pounds of glass, how much money will he receive? Evaluate the expression. So I have my expression above, and I'm going to use that in my WSE work. I have a nickel plus a quarter plus a dime. Okay. So now I'm going to plug in, this is the X value. This is the Y value, and then this was my Z value that I defined above. So 0.5, I'm going to plug in 10. Here I'm going to plug in 8. And here I'm going to plug in 2. So now in my evaluation work, if I had 10 nickels, I know I'm going to have 50 cents. 25 times 8, I can do some side work for that, or you can think of how many quarters you would have, how much money you would have with 8 quarters. 5 times 8, 40, 16, 20. Don't forget 2 jumps over here. 1, 2. $2 I get. And if I have 2 dimes, I know I'm going to have 20 cents. 50 cents plus $2 plus 20 cents gives me a total of $2.70. Write an expression in simplest form for the area of a rectangle. So I know area will give me square units. And the length of this is 6c meters and the width of 2 meters. So I know right away my answer is going to be in meters squared. So I'm going to kind of tuck that aside for now. And for the time being, I'm going to ignore meters because I already have it, the units tacked onto my answer. Although it doesn't say you have to draw a picture, I like to visualize what they're asking me. The length is 6c and the width is 2. The formula for area equals length times width. So the length is 6c, the width is 2. If this was just 6 times 2, I could write 12, which I can because then it'll just be tacking on the c. So 6 times 2 is 12. I don't know what the value of c is. So 12c is my expression in simplest form. Now for part B, find the area in square meters of the rectangle. So here is where they define what c is. So my formula I have is 12c, my expression. I'm going to substitute 1/2 for c. And for my evaluation work, I can cross reduce here. 2 goes into both, 2 goes into itself once, 2 goes into 12 6. 6 times 1 is 6, 1 times 1 is 1, gives me an answer of 6 meters squared. And up here, don't forget to tack that on, I just noticed that. There we go. 12c meters squared and 6 meters squared. Wonderful. All right, that sums up all 8 questions that we had on this flipped assignment. Don't forget, you are having a quiz on these questions on Thursday. If you have any questions between now and then, you can see your math teacher. If you need another explanation for these problems, you can go back and listen to the explanation again in this video. This video will remain posted on your math teacher's website. Good luck, and we will see you in class tomorrow.